So you've been sensing deception in your circle, haven't you? That uncomfortable awareness that someone's been operating with hidden agenda, that the story you've been living isn't the complete truth, and what's about to surface is going to rewrite your understanding of loyalty, betrayal, and who's actually been in your corner. Let me share what I'm detecting in the churning undercurrents surrounding you right now. The first thing breaking through is this recognition you might be approaching that someone you've trusted has been playing a role rather than showing you their authentic self. You could be picking up on energy around manipulation you didn't see while it was happening, strategic moves disguised as genuine connection. You might be sensing that what you interpreted as friendship or support or alignment was actually serving purposes you weren't aware of. And that gap between presented reality and actual intention is about to become painfully visible. Here's what you could be observing in the social terrain around you. You might be noticing tensions between people in your sphere, alliances that seem to be fracturing, conversations that stop when you enter spaces. You could be picking up on the particular atmosphere that precedes major revelation, a brittleness in interactions, a sense that everyone's waiting for something to break. You might be experiencing yourself being more watchful than usual, more alert to inconsistencies, because some part of you already knows that the ground beneath certain relationships isn't as solid as it appeared. What's building in the relational pressure system is that you could be dealing with consequences catching up to someone who's operated without integrity. You might be sensing that actions taken in secret are becoming public knowledge, that lies maintained through careful performance are unraveling. You could be picking up on natural results of deception playing out, reputation damage, loss of trust, isolation that comes when people discover they've been manipulated. And watching this unfold is going to bring complex feelings about justice, vindication, and the cost of betrayal. This reflection invites you to consider what you've been dismissing as paranoia or overthinking. That was actually your intuition trying to warn you about dynamics you weren't ready to see clearly. You might be noticing that you're experiencing anger as you piece together what's been happening behind your back. You could be picking up on your own sense of violation, not just about specific deceptions, but about the time you invested, the vulnerability you offered, the trust you extended to someone who was using that access for purposes that didn't serve you. You might be feeling foolish for not seeing sooner, embarrassed that others might have known things you didn't, and metabolizing those emotions without turning them against yourself is important work as truth emerges. What's rippling through the social ecosystem is that you could be dealing with multiple people involved in dynamics you thought were simpler. You might be sensing that what appeared to be isolated issue actually involves coordinated behavior, shared information behind your back, allegiances you didn't know existed. You could be picking up on complexity in your social sphere that's been deliberately hidden from you, and adjusting your understanding of who's been honest versus who's been performing innocence while operating with awareness you lacked is disorienting. What's particularly intense about what I'm witnessing is that you might be approaching revelations about competitive energy directed at you. You could be dealing with someone who's been threatened by you, envious of what you have, motivated to undermine you while maintaining surface friendliness. You might be sensing that what you experienced as connection was actually surveillance, someone staying close to monitor you, to gather information, to position themselves advantageously, and recognizing that kind of calculated proximity is sickening in ways that straightforward conflict wouldn't be. Um, you might be picking up on other people in your life trying to warn you or signal information they have. You could be experiencing cryptic comments that suddenly make sense in new context, people's reluctance to engage with certain others now seeming like boundary setting you misunderstood. You might be noticing that dots are connecting into picture you couldn't see when you only had partial information. And that assembly of complete truth from scattered pieces is happening rapidly as more gets revealed. What's threading through the exposure happening is that you could be witnessing someone's true character emerging under pressure. You might be observing how someone responds when confronted, whether they take accountability or deflect, whether they show remorse or double down on justifications. You could be picking up on their desperation as consequences materialize, watching them try various strategies to manage fallout. And those responses are giving you clarity about who this person actually is beneath the version they wanted you to believe in. This reflection invites you to consider what pattern this betrayal fits into in your larger life story and what you're learning about the kinds of people and behaviors you need to screen for more carefully going forward. You might be noticing that you're experiencing protective instincts toward yourself that feel new. You could be picking up on your own commitment to never being this exposed again, to implementing stricter boundaries, to trusting more slowly. You might be sensing that while this situation is painful, it's teaching you valuable lessons about discernment, about the difference between people who are safe versus people who are charming, about reading behavior patterns over time rather than believing presented narratives. What's also surfacing is that you could be dealing with collateral damage from someone's deception. You might be experiencing effects on your reputation, your other relationships, your sense of security in spaces you thought were safe. You could be picking up on ways that someone's manipulation of you has impacted others in your sphere, created complications you're now responsible for untangling. You might be recognizing that betrayal rarely stays contained to just the direct relationship, and managing ripple effects while also processing your own hurt is requiring significant emotional bandwidth. The energetic signature around consequences suggests you might be observing someone experiencing natural results of their choices. You could be witnessing opportunities closing for them, relationships ending, support structures collapsing as people understand what's been happening. You might be picking up on their isolation increasing as they lose credibility and access. And while part of you might feel satisfaction in seeing justice, another part might feel sadness about waste, about potential someone squandered by choosing manipulation over authenticity. What's significant is that you could be dealing with choice about your own response to this situation. You might be experiencing pressure to retaliate, to expose this person publicly, to ensure they face maximum consequences. You could be sensing that people expect you to engage in certain ways, to take specific actions, but you might also be picking up on wisdom that says your healing doesn't require you to manage someone else's destruction, that you can protect yourself, set boundaries, remove access without making someone's downfall your project. This reflection invites you to consider what you actually need in order to move forward from this betrayal, and whether those needs include watching someone burn or simply ensuring they can't hurt you again. You might be noticing that other trustworthy people in your life are rallying around you. You could be experiencing genuine support from people who've demonstrated integrity, receiving validation that what happened to you wasn't okay, feeling seen by those who matter. You might be picking up on how betrayal from one person is clarifying who your real community is. And that painful sorting process, while not something you would have chosen, is ultimately serving you by making visible who deserves your continued investment. What I'm witnessing in the relational architecture is that you could be dealing with permanent shifts in who has access to you. You might be experiencing yourself becoming more selective, more protective of your inner world, more deliberate about who you let close. You could be recognizing that some people have lost privileges they won't get back, that certain doors once closed won't reopen. You might be understanding that forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation, that you can release resentment for your own peace while still maintaining distance from people who've proven themselves unsafe. The trajectory I'm reading suggests you might be approaching a period where truth becomes undeniable. You could be sensing that evidence is surfacing, that people are speaking up, that what's been hidden in shadow is being pulled into harsh light. You might be picking up on momentum around exposure that's beyond any individual's control now. And watching that unfold is both vindicating and exhausting because you're having to hold space for your own healing while also witnessing public reckoning. What's also coming through is that you could be experiencing this as a wake-up call about naivety you've been carrying. You might be recognizing patterns of giving people too much benefit of doubt, of explaining away red flags, of prioritizing harmony over honesty. You could be picking up on ways your own desire to see the best in people has made you vulnerable to those who exploit that generosity. And adjusting that balance without becoming cynical is delicate work. This reflection invites you to consider what boundaries you need to establish, not just with people who've betrayed you, but with your own tendency to override warning signs in service of maintaining connection. You might be noticing that this situation is forcing you to reassess multiple relationships. You could be experiencing yourself reviewing past interactions through new lens, wondering what else you missed, questioning who else might not be what they seem. You might be picking up on your own tendency towards suspicion as protective response and finding the balance between healthy wariness and corrosive distrust is going to be ongoing navigation. So as you move through this period of exposure and consequence, give yourself permission to feel everything that arises. You might be experiencing rage, grief, vindication, shame, relief, probably cycling through all of these and more. What matters is that you don't bypass your processing in service of appearing unaffected. Someone played you, that happened. Acknowledging it doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. Let natural consequences unfold without needing to orchestrate them. You might be tempted to ensure this person suffers adequately to make certain everyone knows what they did. But what I'm witnessing is that truth has its own power, that actions have natural results, that you don't need to be the agent of someone's destruction for justice to occur. Protect yourself, set boundaries, remove access, share your truth when appropriate, but release the need to control how someone's story ends. That's not your responsibility.